Hello, welcome back to the Western Front of the Great Patriotic War. I'm suddenly paranoid that my audio is not recording, but it is. Okay. I've had that happen before. Not always the most fun thing. All right, so we're back into it, and last time we pretty much squared away what we could on the Leningrad and Northwestern Front areas, but now we have a bit of an issue where we have these huge O gaps over here. We've got a very weak 28th Army that needs reinforcing. And we also have a crumbling Western Front. So we need to really rush in some troops. And the question early on here is just going to be, where do we want to set up the line? Because we don't want it too far forward, but we also don't want it too far back. So I think it'll be most beneficial for us to start setting up in these woods areas here. So we'll have one here, one here, one here, and maybe even one as far up as that. I'm not sure. Probably not, though. Probably a little bit further back is safer. And then we probably do want a couple on the other side of the river, just in case. Yeah, because that's a pretty nice hex there. That's not too bad there. You know, these guys are going to be exhausted, but sorry, it comes with the territory. Welcome to the front, lads. We'll figure out how to organize them in a second. We just need to throw up some sort of line. Because what we really don't want is a breakthrough of any sort. I mean, that should be fine there. Now we'll start moving some of these up. So I think we're going to rail 3 divisions over to the 28th Army. They can get all the way to here, which is great. Get them all off their trains. And they can just sit there. Wait, I thought I got them all off. Oh, he's got 98 and he's... That's kind of deceiving. It only shows the number for the top of the stack. I got tricked right there. I guess I learned my lesson not to do the whole stack. That's okay. I'm not going to undo it. It's fine. They can get off the train next turn. Okay, now the rest of this force, we want to try to start sending over to this gap here. Now, we're not going to be able to make it in a single turn. So what I'm thinking is kind of just start hiking over that way. But I don't know, maybe we do need a few more to back up the Western Front, because they're going to be pretty messed up by the time they get here. So if I rail, it's not really worth it to rail these guys. I mean, it saves a little bit of fatigue, but damn, 30 divisions is a ton of troops. Holy crap. Might have made a mistake bringing this many in. Don't know what my supply situation is going to be like now. Probably not great. This is terrible supply land. Like, I don't know how these divisions here are going to get supplied by anyway, except for airdrops. I mean, I guess they have this thing. I don't know what kind of supplies are going to be able to come through there. What I want to do is start shunting more troops over this way. And those guys are not the best for it, though. What about this? They're not even on a rail line. Well, we know we're going to need some reserves for that area. So let's just start getting over to that area of operations. Some are going to go a little bit further north. It's going to take a couple of turns to get everyone in position, and then a few more turns after that to get them combat prepped. So it's going to be a while. Now, for the rest of these divisions, where do we send them? Because I've actually got half a mind to send 3 or 4 divisions down to start dealing with the potential breakout from the Bryansk Front. So I could send them to Kursk. I could send them all the way here. I just hope that they don't get pushed that quickly. Let's stay on the safe side. Let's send them to Kursk. Just a few divisions there. 3 divisions. And then I'll send 2 more down there. Except these ones will go to Orel. And then the SDUs are gonna start digging in the back here over by Rhzev, so that we can turn this into a bit of a fortress area. So we'll go 1 per hex. And then we want to start on getting fortifications going here. So we're going to spend kind of 1, maybe 2 per turn. And then let us spread these guys out a little bit. Okay, so what do we have here? 16th Army. And these are still on refit, although the 109th Mechanized is actually pretty much good to go. And so is the 127th Rifle Division. So these 2 are pretty much ready to get in the fray. Now the 16th Army has 6 units assigned to it so far, or 6 command points rather. So we're going to give the majority of these nearby units over to the 16th Army instead of the 11th. And the 16th Army will be kind of fighting in this location anyway, so it's better to have them doing their actual job. It's going to be a very infantry-focused army, so. that mechanized division will eventually probably get transferred somewhere else. Let's see. This division actually might be more useful as a reserve over here, because this tank division is very, very weak. Huh. All right, that's not too bad. All right, now between the two of these guys, 34th and 42nd Army, we've got Shcherbakov, who is more of an infantry-focused guy, but with very low initiative. So not the best commander, certainly. And then Pronin is just an absolute mongoloid who we've got no choice but to replace him. So I think we'll go ahead and replace him first, and then we'll kind of use the 42nd Army as a backup. And we will give command of that to someone with good initiative. Good initiative and good infantry command. How about... looking for someone who's relatively cheap, so I'm thinking one of these two guys. Yeah, I think this will work fine. All right, so then the 34th Army, you're going to go to the Rhzev Front, which hopefully won't go over its cap. It did not, so that's good. And then we'll assign all of these guys to him. And as for the 42nd Army, I'm thinking Northwestern Front maybe, although we already have the 49th Army on the job over here. So wow, he's a terrible commander too. Jesus. Maybe we'll get this tank division over the 28th Army. He can't be worse than that. Purkaev. Well, those guys are going to have to hold the line for the time being. He's got 14 out of 21. So let's give him a couple more. I think we can give him all 3. Which will be perfect. Kind of tempted to make this a rail depot. I'm a little concerned about getting pushed back so quickly. It's also not a rail yard. This would be the better option here. But it's so close to Bology that it's not really worth. It's not really worth it. Why is this 100 damage? Oh my goodness. I guess it doesn't have an AA. Holy crap. Didn't even notice that. What can we give it? Yikes. Well, I guess I'm going to have to start focusing on defending this thing, huh? Does the 49th Army have... Yeah, it has a lot of everything. Holy crap. It has a 3. Why does it have a 3? Alright, well, let's kick these back up to... well... I feel like the Western Front is in most desperate need of artillery, so we'll give it all over to them. But I do kind of want to give this guy an AA battalion. Let's give a couple of sappers over to the reserve front. And while I'm at it, I'm going to check out our support levels. Like, why are things set to 3? What is in the Northwestern Air Command? Yeah, I didn't think I could even get any sort of support. Something's a 4. Malinowski's 12th Army. Which, I mean, this is actually in kind of an important location. So not terribly mind it being like that. What I am going to do in this turn, I think I'm going to give the 12th Army over to the Southern Front. And that will start to even things out a little bit more. Because the Southwestern Front is still, after all of these turns, it's still a disaster. It's still 99 of 72. And I think if I just kicked the 12th Army over to the Southern Front, that would solve our problems pretty much. Because I'm planning to move another army under command of the Bryansk Front. It's just a question of who gets it. So I'm probably going to have to send over a fair number of troops just to kind of block this area here. We need an army over here too. Army commander, I mean. This rifle division, we will give you to the 3rd Army, I think. We'll do the best. It's a scary breakout. Gotta do something to delay it. I mean, the good news is there's no way these guys can push super far because they're low in supply. So hopefully that means they won't be able to roll as far. But they're still very threatening. And we're actually starting to get a front line. Look at that. It's almost all connected finally. It's only taken us 10 weeks to get a front line. But I wasn't too bothered about getting a front line right off the get-go because I was just learning the ropes, didn't really know how to play the game. And I was just kind of focused on feeling out what works. Like, does double stacking a tile work better? Or is single stacking enough? What kind of losses do you sustain one versus the other? So definitely if you want to hold a place, you have to either double or triple stack it. But if you just want to slow them down, single stacking works just fine, especially if you can get combat prep. But the problem is when you bring in fresh troops, they don't have any combat prep. And then the second your troops get into combat, they lose all their combat prep. So like all these divisions here, completely useless now because they've been in contact for so long. In fact, they might just get flat out destroyed this turn if they have to fight. But for whatever reason, these guys are super duper fresh, and ours are just exhausted. Just considering pulling back another hex here. But that has the downside of increasing your fatigue even more. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. Which will only degrade our combat power. I mean, we're only throwing up a 1 with 3 units on it. Oh, he doesn't have strategic points because he's unready. I really wish I had set up a depot down there. It would have done us a lot of good. But what's past is past. Now, I could march these guys up here, which would maybe help us. Especially now that I have some troops in this area to hold the line. I think I might do that just for the heck of it. I mean, they're going to get withdrawn soon anyway, so. What's this? Okay, this is ready. Ready to rock and roll. I'm thinking there might be a bad guy here. No? Okay. Alright, well, finish your march up there, and I'll give you over to the 28th Army, I guess. And then I think what I'll do is I'll pull off our very weak divisions off the line in hopes that they might recover in time to be of use. And then that thing's just going to get absolutely blasted. But these two can go back to the 49th Army. And they can sit there for a couple of turns, and hopefully we can turn them back into fighting units. Hopefully. Okay, so then these two, we'll take them off the trains. And what I would like to do is just kind of, I mean, I don't really want to march them now. That's kind of the whole point of keeping them on a train. All right, let's drive them down here. Take him off the train. And we want to make sure he's going to the 11th Army. This will be the reserve of the 11th Army. And what can I do to strengthen that? All right, well, I think that's pretty good there. Okay, you can all go to the 22nd Army, I guess. How's the reserve front looking? 44. Stick all of you on the 22nd Army. All right. It's pretty organized, I guess. This guy could really use some artillery. They want to give him a howitzer. There we go. Give him a howitzer. Make sure he's on refit. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so the next turn I can start plugging up that hole. Hopefully they won't cross the river by then. That's my only concern. But I can't really get anything over there. So I'm just kind of screwed if they do. Okay, so 42nd Army. I want them... to maybe come down here. Because I'm not sure what I have for armies. Rhzev. I mean, are any of these kind of empty? 19th Army is. He's been pretty much depleted by the action so far. So I'd like to give some reinforcements to them. So let's give a bunch over to the 19th Army, the ones that are kind of nearby. So those will all be Western Front backups. And then, I don't know, maybe the 42nd Army can come down here. Come down to Kursk. He doesn't need no supplies yet. We'll probably be replacing that commander next turn as well. Because he's not terrible, but I would really like to replace him. So that kind of is what it is. All right, so that'll let them start getting ready. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think we're going to need 10 more divisions down here, potentially. Just to slow the tide of the Panzer Army there. But otherwise, I think this is now a much more balanced setup. Now, next time what we're going to finish off the turn with is just going through the Kiev area and doing our best to reorganize things. Because we still have a lot of weird stuff going on here. We could, like, guys going up to the Southwestern Front instead of to an army. Yeah, just a lot of weird stuff. So next time we're going to go through all of that, try to clean that up. And hopefully that'll start making our lines make more sense. Now, one of the things that really doesn't make a lot of sense is the fact that the 8th Army, or 27th Army, sorry. The 27th Army is currently going to the Northwestern Front. And the Luga Army is going to the Leningrad Front. I think I want to flip-flop those just for sanity's sake and have the Northwestern Front be, you know, the Northwestern Front instead of the Leningrad Front, and make sure that the Leningrad Front is doing its damn job of defending Leningrad. We do have a 55th Army here too that we could maybe use. It's got a 6 and a 5 for initiative. That's good for our terms. But yeah, none of these generals in the early game are good per se. Yeah, we gotta rescue this guy yet again. Jesus. Forgot about that. Disgusting. He's a paratrooper though, so he'll be fine. He was guarding the planes. He did his damn job. He did a great job. We got some breakthroughs over here too that we might want to check out. And these have been on refit for quite some time, so hopefully they're getting a little bit better. Fort level 3, can't argue with that. That's going to be ready to fight. I think we might need a couple of forts along here somewhere. What I'm worried about is that once we make it past the lake here, this could be very tough to defend. It really lengthens that front a lot. Because, like, theoretically they can go through the woods here. That's kind of scary. But I mean, I would think that they'll see that we're defending this area and they'll try to go around, but probably just try to blast through us. Like, if they probe us at all along this river, they'll see that this is completely undefended and they'll just go through there, which will be good for us because then our defenses are already kind of in place. We can just swing them down. But if they are able to just blast right through us, our 3 reserve divisions here are not going to be enough to stop them. I mean, they'll put up a fight. They'll definitely slow them down, but we'll have to pour some more manpower into that area. But down in Rhzev, these guys are just going to try to build up some combat prep. And hopefully they'll be ready to fight, because I want some strong divisions held in reserve, not immediately thrown into the fray, and that will be guarding kind of the southern side of the Gasat River. And that's kind of our eventually going to hook into our Moscow front here once we get some troops back from the Western Front. So it'll go kind of down along the Gasat and holding the rail line here if it gets that far. Otherwise, it could just go straight across. But and then that would hook into, in general, this kind of line that goes up, hopefully holding the lake, because it would be great to be able to hold on to the lake, because that saves us 3 tiles. 3 basic, and because of that particular hex here, this swamp hex, if we could hold just that and this, that would be huge. So I'm worried that they're going to be able to break through it immediately and that our reinforcements won't have time to do anything. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Until next time, see you back on the Western Front of the Great Patriotic War. See ya.